Okay, I'm here to talk to you today for my speech class. The United States should make horse slaughter legal. Horses all over the country are being treated inhumanely and carelessly because of the ignorance, financial situations, and desperation of their owners. As a student at CF and as an owner, rider, and trainer of horses, I had seen firsthand the devastation of horses suffering from neglect. The main points I'm going to be covering today are population control, neglect, the effects of the economy, and the inability to end suffering logistically. In retrospect, however, we're able to see that the abuse horses are suffering is mostly unintentional or considered unavoidable by their owners. They're not trying to hurt their horses, they just have no other way to care for them. The population control of the horses is much like the problems that the Humane Society faces. There's simply too many horses and not enough homes, and unlike the small, simple dogs that we can neuter and spay, horses on average weigh about 1,000 pounds, and it's several $100s to have each one of these neutered or spayed, and they have to undergo anesthesia, and it takes several hours in surgery. And owners continue to breed these horses in hopes to earn a couple extra dollars or out of ignorance. By the way, the horses aren't being able to be sold, and so they're just building up in the economy and population with nowhere to go. For example, if you look on Craigslist or any horse buying site, horses are just given away for free. The horse I'm currently training is an off-the-track thoroughbred who actually won a race, and she was just given to me for free. A horse I had in training for 5 years, I sold for like $700. Because there's nowhere for these excess horses to go, they're being treated inhumanely. Horses are expensive, and it's hard for owners to take care of them. On average, the minimum cost to keep a horse in Ocala, just on pasture alone, is $200 to $300 per month. A survey performed by the Unwanted Horses Coalition stated that 81% of the time the inability to pay for the upkeep of a horse resulted in it becoming unwanted. The cost of care and the low standard of care give only two options for owners: abandonment and neglect. For example, in Kansas City, Missouri, where I spent several years, horses were literally being dropped off at farms. They were really dropped off and left to fend for themselves. That means running into a highway, running through a barbed wire fence, ending up in someone's property. Or they'll just tie them up to a tree where they could end up there for days because no one knows they're there. So they just starve tied to a tree somewhere. It's awful. And the reason they're doing this is because when horses are sick, they don't have the money to euthanize them. Vets for Equine Welfare Organization has a list of universities that offer economy-priced euthanization. For the cheapest, it can come as around $200 to $300. And after the horse is euthanized, the Florida state laws are very extreme. It's almost impossible to bury a horse. You have to get it approved by the state and everything. And to have a horse removed off property is an additional $200 or $300. So owners that can't afford to feed their horses, how are they supposed to afford to euthanize them securely? Some examples of neglect that these horses are facing are terrible. We've all seen pictures of starving horses and animals and dogs, and it's just unnecessary. They're skinny and left alone in their own homes, and they can't afford to eat. They're surviving in dirt pastures and living off weeds or tree branches. Because of the poor nutrition, their eyes are sunken in, they're skinny, they have poor hair coat. Their hooves literally crumble underneath them, and the bones that they support themselves become so sensitive that these horses have to adapt to crazy positions and stances just to try and keep out of pain every day. This could all be stopped, the pain, the suffering, if slaughterhouses were available. In addition, thousands of horses are being shipped to Canada and Mexico in tiny stock trailers that would usually fit about 5 horses. They're fitting 10 to 20. These horses aren't fed, they don't have any water, it's extreme heat, and if a horse happens to collapse, it's trampled underneath itself. According to the Unwanted Horses Coalition, a census was done in 2007 with the results of 90,000 horses being shipped to Canada and Mexico. The American Veterinary Medicine Association released an article stating that transport to Mexico has increased by 312% since the reduction of U.S. slaughterhouses in the United States. So instead of these horses being shipped easily to be euthanized, they're being transported thousands of miles in these terrible conditions. It's completely unnecessary. If the U.S. had slaughterhouses for these horses, the horses could be euthanized instead of mass processed, and they could find peace. The U.S. government is cruelly and unjustly punishing the horses to quench their own guilt. I quote, "The reality is, proponents of this legislation have done nothing to address the real issue here. In fact, by seeking to ban horse slaughter, they have made things significantly worse," quoted by the American Veterinary Medicine Association Government Division. When asked if that which could be in the U.S. horse slaughter plants were humane, the AVMA replied, yes, it is humane. Dr. Tom Lance of the UHC publicly called horse slaughter extremely humane in the DVM Newsweek article January 1st, 2004. The death of any living thing is sad and regrettable. Their life never should be. The factors that are contributing to the unwanted horses in America and what we want to prevent is population. We want to increase the value of horses so that they can be sold and used in the market. We want to prevent unwanted and abandoned horses. We want to create a financially attainable and economically savvy way to euthanize horses and save them from unnecessary and unrecognizable pain. The horses do not deserve to suffer for our ignorance. Take a stand.